The Zarquin exploration vessel emerged from its wormhole jump on the outskirts of an unremarkable solar system. Captain Milax's tentacles rippled with excitement as she gazed at the holographic display. After centuries of searching, they had finally found another sapient species. Life signs confirmed on the third planet, reported Science Officer Vexlor, his bioluminescent patches pulsing rapidly. Atmosphere composition indicates a nitrogen-oxygen mix, gravity close to our homeworld, and extensive electromagnetic emissions across the spectrum. Nelax's four eyes blinked in sequence. A technological civilization. Fascinating. How did we miss them before? It appears they've only recently achieved widespread radio communication, Vexlor explained. Perhaps within the last century. We must have just missed them on our previous survey. The captain's tentacles coiled thoughtfully. Prepare a first contact package. We'll broadcast our peaceful intentions and request a meeting with their leaders. As the Zarquin ship drew closer to the blue-green world, they marveled at the diversity of life teeming across its surface. Vast cities sprawled across continents, while countless vessels crisscrossed the oceans. It was a vibrant, bustling world full of potential. The first contact message was broadcast globally in mathematics and simple pictographs, explaining the Zarquin's origins and desire for peaceful exchange. They waited anxiously for a response, wondering what marvels this new species might share. The reply, when it came, was not what they expected. "Unidentified vessel, you have entered restricted Earth space," came the terse audio transmission. "Maintain your current position and prepare to be boarded. Any hostile action will be met with lethal force." Milax recoiled in shock. Hostile. But we clearly stated our peaceful intentions. Vexlor, could there have been a mistranslation? The science officer's bioluminescence had faded to a dull glow. "Negative, Captain. Our message was unambiguous. It seems these humans are simply aggressive by nature." A new hologram sprang to life, showing a swarm of smaller craft rapidly approaching their position. Nilax felt her chromatophores darken with apprehension. "Scan those vessels," she ordered. "What are we dealing with?" Vexlor's tentacles danced over his console. Primitive chemical propulsion, but heavily armed. Projectile weapons, missiles, and what appear to be crude energy weapons. Nothing that could penetrate our shields, but still far more advanced than we'd expect for such a young civilization. Nelax's primary heart began to race. In all their centuries of exploration, the Zarquin had never encountered a species so quick to threaten violence. It went against everything they believed about the nature of intelligent life. "Open a channel," she said. "Perhaps we can still reason with them." But before she could speak, a barrage of missiles streaked from the human vessels. They detonated harmlessly against the Zarquin shields, but the intent was clear. These humans attacked first and asked questions later. Evasive maneuvers. Nilax shouted, "Get us out of here." As they retreated to the system's edge, Nilax tried to make sense of what had just happened. How could a species capable of such beautiful art and music, glimpsed briefly in their scans of Earth's transmissions, also be so eager for conflict? The Zarquin spent the next several cycles observing Earth from a distance, intercepting transmissions and trying to understand this paradoxical species. What they learned only deepened their unease. Humans, it seemed, had spent much of their history fighting amongst themselves. Their nations constantly vie for dominance, and even in times of relative peace, they poured vast resources into weapons of war. Their fiction was filled with stories of conflict, and many of their greatest technological advancements came in pursuit of better ways to kill. Yet, at the same time, humans displayed incredible acts of kindness and self-sacrifice. They created breathtaking works of art and pushed the boundaries of scientific understanding. They were capable of both great cruelty and great compassion, often within the same individual. "I don't understand," Nilax confessed to her senior staff. "How can a species be so divided against itself, so capable of both creation and destruction?" Vexlor's tentacles writhed thoughtfully. "Perhaps it's a product of their evolution. Earth is a far more competitive ecosystem than our homeworld. Constant struggle may have shaped them into the predators they are. Nilax considered this. The Zarquin's own world was one of abundance, where cooperation came naturally. They had never needed to fight for resources or territory. Was that why they found the human mindset so alien? As they debated how to proceed, a new complication arose. Their long-range sensors detected a massive energy surge from Earth's surface, the telltale sign of an antimatter detonation. It seemed the humans had unlocked the secrets of apocalyptic weapons far sooner than expected. We can't leave them to destroy themselves, Nilax decided. And we can't risk them ever reaching the stars with such a violent nature. We must find a way to help them, to guide them towards peace, whether they want it or not. But as the Zarquin prepared to return to Earth, they realized the true scope of the challenge before them. Humanity's response to their first encounter had made one thing abundantly clear. Earth bred predators, not prey. And those predators were about to join the galactic stage. The galactic community. The news of humanity's violent first contact spread quickly through the Galactic Council. Representatives from 100 different species gathered in the Great Crystal Dome of Harmony Station, their varied forms a testament to the diversity of life in the cosmos. The Zarquin report on Earth was met with a mixture of fascination and horror. These humans are clearly too dangerous to be allowed into the galactic community, declared Grix, the silicon-based Petrosian ambassador. His crystalline form sparkled as he gestured emphatically. We should quarantine their system immediately. Soft murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. But not everyone was convinced. We cannot judge an entire species based on one encounter, countered Lyra, the ethereal Etherian diplomat. Her translucent form shimmed with swirling colors. Perhaps if we approach them differently, show them the benefits of cooperation, and risk them attacking other peaceful worlds. Interrupted Mokhtar, the hulking Ursoid representative. The Zarquin barely escaped with their lives. Imagine what these humans might do to a less advanced civilization. The debate raged for days. Some argued for containment, others for cautious engagement. A few even suggested more extreme measures to neutralize the potential threat. Through it all, Captain Nilax watched with growing unease. The Zarquin prided themselves on their role as peaceful explorers, but their report had sparked a crisis that threatened to divide the galactic community. As the Council struggled to reach a consensus, a new complication arose. Long-range sensors detected primitive human probes leaving their solar system, venturing into interstellar space for the first time. It seemed humanity's drive to explore would not be constrained by the vast distances between stars. We're running out of time, Nilax told her old friend Zevran, the Zarquin ambassador. If we don't act soon, humans will make contact with other races. And who knows how that might end. Zevran's tentacles coiled anxiously. What would you have us do, Nilax? We can't simply imprison an entire species. No, Nilax agreed. But perhaps we can guide them. Show them a better way. With that goal in mind, Nilax proposed a bold plan to the Council. The Zarquin would return to Earth, not as explorers this time, but as teachers. They would reveal themselves openly, demonstrating advanced technology to capture humanity's attention. Then, they would offer to share their knowledge, but only if humans agreed to certain restrictions on their expansion and weapons development. It's a risk, Nilax admitted to the assembled delegates, but it may be our best chance to integrate humans into galactic society without bloodshed. The Council debated fiercely, but in the end, they saw few alternatives. With great trepidation, they authorized the mission. Months later, the Zarquin ship once again approached Earth. This time, they didn't hide. They appeared in broad daylight over every major city, their sleek vessels defying gravity in ways human science couldn't explain. They broadcast their message to every communications device on the planet. People of Earth, we come in peace. We are the Zarquin, representatives of a vast community of intelligent species among the stars. We offer you friendship and knowledge beyond your imagining. All we ask in return is that you join us in our commitment to peaceful coexistence." The response was chaos. Some humans reacted with wonder and excitement, eagerly embracing the idea of cosmic neighbors. Others responded with fear and hostility, seeing the aliens as a threat to be eliminated. Earth's government scrambled to form a united response, but decades of mistrust made cooperation difficult. In the end, it was a coalition of scientists, diplomats, and forward-thinking leaders who made first peaceful contact. They met with Nylax and her crew in neutral territory, the International Space Station, humanity's first tentative step into the cosmos. "We welcome you to Earth," said Dr. Amelia Chen, the designated human spokesperson. Her voice trembled slightly, but her eyes shone with curiosity. "We have so many questions, and we have much to share," Nylax replied, her translator conveying warmth. "But first, we must address your people's tendency towards violence. The galaxy is vast and full of wonders, but it can also be dangerous. We cannot risk introducing a volatile species into the wider community." The human delegates exchanged uneasy glances. "What exactly are you proposing?" asked General Viktor Petrov, his bushy eyebrows furrowed. Nylax's chromatophores shifted to a soothing blue. "A cultural exchange. We will share our technology and knowledge, helping you solve many of the problems that plague your world. In return, you must agree to limits on your military expansion and commit to peaceful resolution of conflicts." The negotiations were tense and protracted. Many humans bristled at the idea of alien-imposed restrictions. But as the Zarquin demonstrated marvels like clean energy and advanced medical techniques, the benefits became harder to ignore. Meanwhile, the first human delegates were invited to visit Harmony Station. Their minds reeled at the diversity of alien life and the scale of galactic civilization. They returned with incredible stories that captured the world's imagination. Slowly, grudgingly, humanity began to accept its place in a larger cosmic community. But old habits died hard, and not everyone was willing to lay down their weapons and embrace a peaceful future. As the Zarquin worked to guide humanity's development, factions on both sides grew restless. Some aliens felt humans were advancing too quickly, while others argued for faster integration. On Earth, conspiracy theories abounded, and isolationist groups called for rejecting alien influence entirely. Nylax found herself caught in the middle, trying to balance competing interests and prevent disaster. She knew that humanity's future, and perhaps the future of the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. Little did anyone realize that an even greater threat was looming on the horizon, one that would test the uneasy alliance between humans and aliens to its very limits. Human ingenuity. 5 years had passed since the Zarquin's public arrival on Earth, and the face of human civilization was changing rapidly. Gleaming cities powered by zero-point energy reactors stretched towards the sky. Hospitals boasted medical technology that seemed miraculous by previous standards. And in orbit, the first human-built faster-than-light ship neared completion. But beneath the surface of progress, tension simmered. Dr. Amelia Chen, now Earth's primary liaison to the galactic community, stood before the UN Security Council. Her holographic presentation showed a network of clandestine facilities scattered across the globe. "Despite our agreements with the Zarquin," she explained, her voice tight with frustration, "multiple nations continue secret weapons development programs. If discovered, this could jeopardize our standing with the Galactic Council." General Petrov, his hair now more gray than black, leaned forward. "Can you blame them? We're at a severe technological disadvantage. How do we know these aliens won't turn on us the moment we let our guard down?" Amelia sighed. "The Zarquin have given us no reason to distrust them. They've kept every promise." "Except the promise of true equality," interrupted the Chinese representative. "They still treat us like children, doling out knowledge as they see fit. We demand full access to their technological database." As the argument escalated, none of them noticed the slight shimmer in the corner of the room. the telltale sign of a cloaking device that shouldn't exist on Earth. Miles away, in an underground lab complex, Dr. Marcus Reeves grinned as he monitored the transmission. "Excellent work, Maya," he sub-vocalized to his AI assistant. "Now let's see what other secrets we can uncover." Reeves was part of a growing movement of human scientists and engineers pushing the boundaries of what the Zarquin thought possible. They reverse-engineered alien tech, combined it in ways its creators never intended, and made breakthroughs that alarmed their extraterrestrial mentors. The Zarquin had carefully curated the knowledge they shared, trying to guide humanity's development along peaceful lines. But they had underestimated human creativity and humanity's deep-seated need to protect itself. In hidden facilities around the world, teams worked on projects that skirted the edges of their agreements with the aliens. Quantum computers that could crack any known encryption. Nanotech swarms that could disassemble matter at the molecular level. And weapons, always weapons, that could theoretically challenge even the most advanced alien defenses. Not everyone approved of these secret efforts, but enough key players saw them as a necessary precaution. Humanity had been caught off guard once. They wouldn't let it happen again. On Harmony Station, Ambassador Zevran reviewed the latest reports from Earth with growing alarm. "They're advancing far too quickly," he told Captain Milax. "At this rate, they'll achieve parity with mid-tier council races within a decade." Some of the more paranoid members are already calling for containment measures. Nilax's chromatophores darkened with worry. Containment would only confirm their worst fears about us. There must be another way. But even as they debated, humans were pushing beyond the boundaries set for them. The first officially sanctioned colony ships were heading to nearby star systems, carrying thousands of eager settlers. But unbeknownst to the Zarquin, smaller stealth ships traveled alongside them, packed with equipment deemed too dangerous for alien eyes. Humanity was determined to carve out its own place among the stars, with or without permission. Dr. Reeves stood before a shimmering force field, marveling at the swirling vortex of energy contained within. "Incredible," he whispered. "Maya, are you recording this?" "Affirmative, Doctor," the AI replied. "But I must again express concern about the potential dangers of this experiment. The energy readings are off the charts." Reeves waved a hand dismissively. "The potential benefits far outweigh the risks. If we can harness this power, we'll have an energy source that dwarfs anything the Zarquin has shown us." What Reeves didn't know was that his team had stumbled upon principles of physics that even the most advanced council races considered too dangerous to explore. They were quite literally playing with fire that could consume worlds. As humanity pushed further into the cosmic unknown, the first cracks in the facade of galactic peace began to show. Minor skirmishes broke out between human colonists and other spacefaring races. Technological secrets were stolen, treaties violated in the name of security. The Galactic Council found itself increasingly divided on how to handle the human issue. Some pushed for harsher restrictions, while others argued that attempting to constrain humanity would only lead to greater conflict. Nilax watched it all with a growing sense of dread. She had hoped to guide humanity towards a peaceful future, but now she feared they might be responsible for plunging the galaxy into war. Everything came to a head when a routine patrol near the edge of explored space picked up an anomalous signal. A Zarquin science vessel went to investigate and stumbled upon something that would change everything. There, hidden in the stellar remnants of a long-dead civilization, they found evidence of a threat greater than anyone had imagined, a threat that had wiped out countless species before and was stirring once again. As the Zarquin ship raced back towards Council space with its dire warning, the crew knew that the galaxy would never be the same. The time for petty squabbles was over. Humanity, with all its potential for violence and heroism, might be the key to facing the coming storm. But first, the species of the galaxy would have to learn to trust one another. And trust, as the humans like to say, was in short supply. The outsider threat. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was chaos. Representatives from 100 species shouted over one another. their translators struggling to keep up with the cacophony of alien languages. At the center of it all stood Captain Nilax, her tentacles rigid with tension as she delivered the news that would change everything. "The harvesters have returned," she said, her voice cutting through the din. "And they're heading straight for the heart of Council space." A hush fell over the assembly. The harvesters were more than just an enemy. They were an existential threat, an ancient race of biomechanical beings that consumed entire civilizations, incorporating the best traits of each species they destroyed into their own collective. "How long do we have?" asked Grix, the Petrosian ambassador. Nilax's chromatophores pulsed a somber blue. 2 years, maybe less. The council erupted into panic. 2 years was nothing on a galactic scale. Evacuation plans were proposed and dismissed as impossible. Talk of appeasement was shouted down. As the arguments raged, Nilax felt a familiar presence at her side. "We need the humans," Zevran said quietly. Nilax turned to her old friend in surprise. "After everything we've been through with them. The treaty violations, the secret weapons programs." Zevran's tentacles writhed in a gesture of grim amusement. "Perhaps those very things are what make them valuable now. The harvesters have never encountered a species quite like humanity. Their unpredictability might be our greatest asset." As the council debated, a cover transmission was sent to Earth. Within hours, a small delegation led by Dr. Amelia Chen arrived on Harmony Station. They were ushered into a secure chamber where Nilax and the leaders of the council's military forces awaited them. "Dr. Chen," Nilax began, "I'm afraid we have dire news." As Nilax explained the situation, she watched the humans' reactions carefully. To her surprise, she saw not fear in their eyes, but a fierce determination. "You're saying these harvesters consume the knowledge and abilities of every race they destroy?" General Petrov asked, his mind already racing with tactical possibilities. "Correct," replied Mokhtar, the Ursoid commander. "They are a composite of thousands of extinct civilizations. Their technology and biology are beyond anything we can match." Dr. Chen leaned forward, her eyes gleaming. "But they've never encountered humans before. They won't be prepared for our way of thinking." "Exactly," Nilax said, "which is why we're proposing the Joint Defense Initiative. We need humanity's innovative spirit and aggressive tendencies if we're to have any hope of survival." The human delegation exchanged glances. This was the opportunity they had been waiting for. A chance to prove their worth to the galactic community and gain access to the full breadth of alien knowledge. "We accept," Dr. Chen said, "but we have conditions. Full technological exchange, no more restrictions, and humanity gets a seat on the Galactic Council." The alien leaders bristled at the demands, but they knew they had little choice. The agreement was made, and the greatest military buildup in galactic history began. Over the next 18 months, the combined forces of the Council races and humanity worked feverishly to prepare. Shipyards across 1,000 worlds produced vessels of war. Scientists collaborated on weapons that could pierce the harvesters' adaptive defenses, and on Earth, hidden projects were brought into the light, revealing technological breakthroughs that stunned even the most advanced alien races. Dr. Marcus Reeves stood before a gathering of top military brass from a dozen species, showcasing his team's crowning achievement. "We call it the Chaos Engine," he explained, gesturing to a swirling vortex of energy contained within a force field. "It generates localized areas of hyperentropic space-time. Anything caught within is broken down to its constituent atoms." The aliens murmured in a mixture of awe and horror. Such a weapon violated fundamental laws of physics as they understood them. But that was precisely why it might work against the harvesters. As the deadline approached, tensions ran high. The first waves of harvester scout ships were detected at the edge of Council space. Skirmishes broke out, testing the defenses of both sides. Humanity, true to form, refused to simply wait for the enemy to arrive. A bold plan was devised to take the fight to the harvesters. A joint task force led by General Petrov and Captain Nilax would strike at the heart of the Harvester fleet, using experimental stealth technology developed by Dr. Reeves' team. The mission was high risk, with little chance of survival. But as Nilax looked around at the diverse crew of her ship, humans working alongside a dozen alien species they had only recently seen as potential enemies, she felt a glimmer of hope. The final briefing was interrupted by an urgent message from the front lines. The Harvesters had broken through the outer defenses far more quickly than anyone had anticipated. They would reach the core worlds within days. "We're out of time," Nilax announced, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. "We launch now. May the stars guide us all." As the task force prepared to depart, Dr. Chen approached Nilax. "Captain," she said softly, "I want you to know, whatever happens, we're grateful. You gave humanity a chance when many would have destroyed us. We won't forget that." Nilax's chromatophores flickered with emotion. "And you've shown us that even the most unlikely allies can become friends. Together, we might just save the galaxy." With a final salute, the joint human-alien fleet engaged their drives, disappearing into the depths of space to face an enemy that had devoured countless civilizations before. As they hurtled towards their destiny, Nilax reflected on how far they had come. Humans and aliens, predators and prey, united against a common threat. The battle ahead would determine not just the fate of their respective species, but the very future of life in the galaxy. And deep in the cold void of space, the Harvesters approached, unaware that they were about to face an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. A new understanding. The battle raged across the stars, a conflict unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The Harvester Armada, vast and terrifying, bore down on the defenders with single-minded purpose. But for the first time in eons, they faced an enemy that refused to break. Aboard the flagship of the Joint Task Force, Captain Nilax and General Petrov coordinated the desperate defense. Screens flickered with real-time battle data as ships from 100 worlds fought side by side. "Sector 7 is falling," shouted a Petrosian tactician. "The Harvesters have adapted to our phase shift torpedoes." Petrov's weathered face was grim. "Redirect the Ursoid heavy cruisers to reinforce the line. And get me Dr. Reeves." A hologram flickered to life, showing the human scientist in his lab aboard a nearby science vessel. "General," Captain Reeves nodded. "The Chaos engine is ready, but we only have one shot at this. If we miss, we won't," Nilax said firmly, her tentacles coiling with determination. "Helm, take us in. All ships, prepare to execute Operation Firestorm on my mark." As the flagship plunged towards the heart of the Harvester fleet, escorted by waves of fighters, Nilax felt a moment of clarity. This was what all their struggles had led to, humans and aliens fighting as one, their differences forgotten in the face of annihilation. The Harvesters, sensing the threat, turned their full attention to the approaching task force. Energy beams lanced out, ripping Allied ships apart. But for every vessel lost, another took its place. Human ingenuity and alien technology combining in ways the enemy couldn't predict. "Now," Petrov roared as they entered the optimal firing range. Dr. Reeves activated the Chaos engine, and reality itself seemed to scream. A swirling vortex of energy erupted from the flagship, expanding outward in defiance of physics. Harvester ships caught in its path simply, unraveled, breaking down into their constituent atoms. For a moment, it seemed like victory was at hand. But the Harvesters were not so easily defeated. The remaining ships quickly adapted, generating shields that bent space-time around them. "It's not enough," Nilax realized, her heart stinking. "We've hurt them, but..." She was cut off as a massive energy surge rocked the flagship. Klaxons blared as systems failed across the ship. "Direct hit to the engine core," shouted the Aetherian engineer. "We're losing containment." Petrov turned to Nilax, a look of grim resolve on his face. "We both know what has to be done." Nilax's chromatophores pulsed with a complex mix of emotions, But she nodded. All hands, abandon ship. Get to the escape pods. As the crew scrambled to evacuate, Nilax and Petrov remained on the bridge. They guided the crippled flagship on a collision course with the Harvester command ship, its failing engine core building to critical mass. "It's been an honor, General," Nilax said softly. Petrov managed a wry smile. "Likewise, Captain. Who would have thought, a human and Zarquin going out together?" As the distance closed, Nilax reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From first contact to uneasy allies to true friends, facing the end side by side. The explosion was visible across half the galaxy, a brilliant burst of light that momentarily outshone the stars themselves. When it faded, the heart of the Harvester fleet was gone, reduced to scattered debris. In the aftermath of the battle, as the surviving ships regrouped, a strange silence fell over the comms. It was Dr. Chen who finally broke it, her voice thick with emotion. "They did it. Those magnificent bastards actually did it. The war wasn't over. Pockets of Harvesters remained, and the galaxy had paid a terrible price. But for the first time, victory seemed possible." In the months that followed, as reconstruction began, a new era dawned for the galactic community. The divisions between species that had seemed so important before now felt petty and small. On Harmony Station, a new memorial was unveiled. It depicted a human and a Zarquin standing back to back, surrounded by representatives of every council race. The inscription read simply, "United we stand." Dr. Chen, now Earth's official representative on the Galactic Council, stood before the assembled dignitaries. "We gather here today not just to mourn our losses, but to celebrate our shared triumph. Humanity is honored to take its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as partners." She paused, her gaze sweeping the room. "We've all learned valuable lessons. The Zarquin and the council races have seen that sometimes a little controlled aggression is necessary, and we humans have learned the value of cooperation, of being part of something greater than ourselves." Zevran, the Zarquin ambassador, stepped forward. "Indeed, we fear humanity's predatory nature, but it was precisely that fierce spirit that saved us all. Together, we are stronger than we ever could be apart." As the ceremony concluded, Dr. Reeves approached Dr. Chen, his eyes shining with excitement. "Amelia, you won't believe what we've discovered. The Harvester debris. It's a goldmine of new technology. With this knowledge, we could revolutionize everything from medicine to space travel." Chen smiled, but held up a cautioning hand. "Carefully, Marcus. We'll explore it together, with our allies. No more secrets, no more going it alone. That's not who we are anymore." As they gazed out at the starfield beyond the station's windows, Chen felt a profound sense of hope. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but also dangers. Humanity had found its place at last, not as conquerors or subjects, but as protectors. Earth still bred predators, it was true. But now those predators stood watch against the darkness, their fierce hearts turned to the defense of all life. And in doing so, they had finally found the peace that had eluded them for so long. The stars beckoned, and this time, all the children of the galaxy would face the future together.